to my channel. Today's video is going to be a all about my palettes video. There's this video that I've been seeing all over YouTube. It's technically a palette tag kind of video, and I saw YouTubers on YouTube do this video and I thought it would be so fun to do this. So let's get into this video. Number one is the newest palette in my collection, which is technically this one. This is my newest palette. This is the Physicians Formula Ultimate Mirror Butter Collection palette, so to speak. Technically it's a whole bunch of things, but there is a palette in here, which is right here. So this is the last palette I purchased and the newest one in my collection. Number two is the oldest palette in my collection. At first I wanted to be like pull out a ColourPop palette because I thought that ColourPop was my very first like palette that I've ever gotten, but that's not true. My oldest palette is this Morphe palette. This is the Fall into Frost palette. When this palette came out, it was like all over Twitter, and I just kept seeing people talk about how cute it is and like how good it looks, like, and they couldn't wait to buy it. So I was like, oh my god, I want to get that too. Like, it looked really good, and I can't remember when this came out, but I got it as soon as it came out. And it's literally just a fall palette. It's so well loved, and I don't dig into this one as much because I'm not a big palette kind of person, but I need to get back into these Morphe palettes because this palette, when I received this, I was so in love with it. As you can see, there's so many dips in this palette. Number three is your most expensive palette. That one is the Bloodlust one for me. This palette is so expensive. It is the most expensive palette I've ever bought, full price. I saw this palette and I had to get it. It's such a beautiful palette and it's such a gem in my collection. Every time someone comes into my room and they see this palette on display, they're immediately drawn to it and they have so many questions about it and they want to see it, they want to swatch it. It's just so beautiful. I love it. And this isn't a palette that I use all the time because I feel like it's like designer clothes where you have this like nice designer shoes, you only wear it on certain occasions and like you don't wear it every day because it's so expensive. That's how I feel with this palette. This palette is so gorgeous. I have a review of this palette on my channel, so go and check that out. Number four is show your most affordable palette, and that is definitely this e.l.f. Bite Size palette. You guys, these are great. I have a review of this on my channel as well. Go and check it out. This is $3. This is a $3 palette and it's very affordable. $3, hello, very affordable. So definitely go and check these out. So number five is show your everyday palette. When I don't feel like doing like a really nice pretty look, or I just want something simple on the go, like quick and easy, I pull out this palette. This is the Bare Necessities palette from ColourPop. This palette is for the beginner lovers and for people who don't really want to think about their look. They just put a transition shade in the crease and then something on the lid and then you're good to go. You're done. This palette is really great. I love it. The shades in here are really gorgeous, and this palette is also really well loved. The shimmers in here have quite a few dents. So number six is show your most colorful palette. I have so many palettes in my collection. Quite a few are colorful, but it says most colorful palette. So I went ahead and went with the Jawbreaker palette from Jeffree Star Cosmetics. This palette is so colorful, it's like crazy. I don't have anything like this in my collection, but I'm like, oh, I want to wear a colorful like look. I immediately go to this palette. This palette is just so pretty and pastel-y and such a great palette for the summertime. The shades in here are one of a kind and really gorgeous. Number seven is your smallest palette, and once again that is the e.l.f. Bite Size Shadow palette. I have nothing else smaller than this. Like, this is as small as it gets because it's literally called bite-sized, but this is it. And number eight is show your biggest palette. I couldn't decide between the Morphe really big palettes. You guys know what I'm talking about. But then I was like, I have a palette that is much bigger than that one, and it's new. Back to this Physicians Formula Mirror Butter Collection palette. This one literally opens up. It opens up like this, and I think this is way bigger than the Morphe palette. if you ask me. I was gonna do a review on this on my channel, but I just never got around to doing it. I did use it once, but yeah. So this is my biggest palette. I love it. It's great. It's really chunky, but it's great. So number 9 is Best Memory palette. I'm gonna go ahead and pull back out this Bloodlust palette. When I was thinking of a palette that had the best memory for me, I immediately went straight to Bloodlust, because this palette was the first palette where I ever had the opportunity to go to the Morphe store and purchase it the day of launch. At the time of launch, I got there at like 7 in the morning, and I waited until Morphe opened, which I think was like 10 a.m. Yeah, like 10 a.m. for this palette, and I was able to receive it. I didn't want to wait for it to come in the mail. I was in California at the time, and I was like, okay, well, there's a Morphe store near me, and I have the opportunity to go and purchase this and not wait for it to ship to me. Who, Lord knows how long that would have taken. So I went in the Morphe store, I waited in line early in the morning, and I got my hands on this palette, which is why I was able to review it the day of launch on my channel. This palette is really, really special to me. I really love it. So 10 is Show a Palette Worth the Hype, and we're gonna talk about the So Jaded palette. This palette is definitely worth the hype. Whenever ColourPop posts this on their Instagram, people go crazy over it. Like, I want it. When is it gonna be like back in stock? Where is it? I definitely think that this palette is gorgeous. It is definitely worth the hype. You get so many beautiful colors and shades in here. Like, it's all jewel tone. Like, who doesn't love jewels, you know? I think this palette is so gorgeous, and I really need to dip into this more. So now that we got number 10, which was Show a Palette Worth the Hype, we have number 11, which is Show a Palette Not Worth the Hype. And I'm sorry for people who are about to like really be mad at me or whatever, but I'm sorry. The Sailor Moon palette is definitely not worth the hype that it's getting. People are going crazy over this palette. Don't get me wrong. This palette is really cute. It's pretty to look at. The packaging is unique. It's like gorgeous. Like, for the packaging, that's like really what drew me. The shades in the inside are pastel. Like, they're good, but you don't have much variety with this palette. Like, if you can get your hands on it for nostalgia reasons, definitely go ahead and do it, but this palette's just not worth the hype to me. That's basically it. I mean, it's a good palette to get. It's so pretty. Look at the packaging. It's like, that's so cute. So, number 12 is Show Your Favorite Palette from your favorite brand. And you guys all know I talk about it so much on my channel. ColourPop is my absolute favorite brand in the entire world. I love ColourPop. And the California Love palette is definitely my absolute favorite palette from ColourPop. This is such a neutral palette, yes, I know. And I'm a color girl. I love colors on my eyes. Like, I'm wearing green today. I love colors, but something about this palette really, really speaks to me. This shade, Diego, so good. The dent in it is crazy. Every look that I come up with this palette is just so beautiful. It's so amazing, and it's so great for the summer and the spring. Number 13 is Most Used palette, and I had a little bit of trouble with this one. I have lots of palettes. I have so many eyeshadow palettes, but I couldn't decide which one did I use the most, and I thought it was the California Love one, but that's not true. The palette that I use the most is definitely a palette that I no longer really use. I never really use Morphe eyeshadows anymore. I don't know. Well, I do know why, but I don't want to get into that right now. But Morphe eyeshadows are just not as good as they used to be, and it shows. But my most used palette is this Bling Boss palette from the Jaclyn Hill Vault collection. I literally dipped into this palette literally every day. It's so dirty. I'm a little embarrassed to show this because I keep my palettes clean, or at least as clean as they can be, but I think this is my dirtiest palette because it's the most used. But I use this palette literally every day when I first got it. There's this go-to look that I always go to when I use this palette. It's crazy to me how much I love this palette. That was literally all of them. I thought I had more, but I think that I'm done. Oh, okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Subscribe to my channel. I'm doing a 200 subscribers giveaway when I hit 200 subscribers, so definitely subscribe. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.